Hey guys, welcome to my first vlog. This is something I've been wanting to do for a really long time now. This one's called Life is Beautiful, named after the movie because it came up in conversation today. Now, in all my vlogs and stuff, I'm going to be going through the depths of my brain into crazy shit that's happened and happens in my life because it's literally unpredictable as ever, and my life's always been a roller coaster, and I just find it interesting enough to tell the world. This is my first time ever doing this, so just give me some slack. So I'm just gonna be dead honest. So here it is. Today something very particular happened. I was at a cafe in Greenwich Village, and I was there, and this is like right after work, so I was beat tired. I'm still beat tired, so give me a break there. But I met this dude. His name's Bernard, and he's like 81 years old. This guy, I'm sitting outside of the bench. What first happened, I'm ordering my coffee, and this guy just walks by, but he has like a limp, right? And people are giving him funny looks and shit, which is dickish. They shouldn't do that. But essentially, this guy, I go out and I just take a seat on the bench outside, and this guy, I don't know, something just told me to talk to him. And I've always been the type of person to like try to help people and try to be everyone's therapist in a way, but like it's not out of any selfishness, it's just because I like to be there for people. It also is really interesting to me how like people's brains work. I like to pick and I like to figure out what makes people tick and like how they feel and why they feel and what causes them to feel that way, like full-on psychological analysis, and I just love it. It just comes naturally to me. And so I'm sitting on this park bench basically outside of this cafe in Greenwich Village, and this guy's sitting there. I was just like, hey, like, do you mind if I sit? So I sat, and this guy just starts, he asked me my name, he like introduced himself, gave me like a firm handshake, and I was like, oh, that's cool. And he told me how he was 81, he studied psychology and all this jazz. And essentially asked me what I do, and I was telling him that like I go to Rutgers and I'm like taking like a leave of absence to like pursue the job, which is what I came from, like my first day ever in New York City. So I came from that, so that's why I was so beat. And I was telling him like, I'm just pursuing my goals and I'm gonna see how they go from there. And he's like, oh, that's pretty neat, and all this stuff. And then it kind of came through as we were talking that he's on welfare, and it seemed like he was frustrated as soon as we started talking. The conversation started out and he was extremely frustrated, and he said that like no matter what he does, it's like the world greets him with like sadness. So essentially like it was ironic because he said embrace your suffering, but yet was complaining about how much he suffers in life. And it was an extremely particular conversation. It would last like 3 hours, but I'm going to try to simplify it for you guys. It was just like, this dude was telling me that like he feels like everyone resents him and everybody hates him. And I was like, well, I don't. He's like, well, you don't know me yet. I'm like, talking to you right now, you seem like a cool dude. I mean, granted, I don't know him, and I don't care to really know him too much, but I was just, I feel like he looked like someone that needed someone to vent to. So I was there, like I was off work, sitting there with a fucking tall cup of hot coffee, like why the hell not, right? I like helping people, so, I just let him talk. And essentially he was saying that like he went through all these religions and stuff. Let me back up. Let me try to like organize what he told me, because he was very jibber jabber. First off, this guy's like a kind of like a hunchbacked old man. Like you could tell he probably looked pretty good in his day. Like he had like a beard kind of like mine, but it was white, and like similar hair, but it was white. He was like hunchbacked and like kind of had like a limp. Like he has like back problems and shit. And then was telling me how basically he suffers through everything, and like anyone that he's ever liked has essentially ever either left him like in the dust or has like tragically died, which is terrible. And he said that he like bounced off of all these different religions and stuff, and um and like has since like turned like Christian after being Jewish, and then like converting out into like Buddhism, and now he's like studying Catholicism. And we just talked about everything. I mean, he first thing that happened was he was analyzing the shit out of me, because he told me how he did psychology and stuff, and he was like asking me all these personal questions, like, do you have a girl, like how's your family life and all this shit, and like if I believe in like Freudian psychology, which I do to a point, like if I'm a Darwinist, and I am, and it's just like he was trying to like pick my brain, right? And he was saying that he was saying that, let me think for a sec. Let me like organize my thoughts. He was saying that he could read people, and that he was basically psychic because of how good he was at like analyzing people's personas, which is something that I do all the time, but I don't think I'm psychic. I don't think psychic is a thing. But he said psychic, and I'm like, okay. And so I was just hearing him out, let him talk. And basically he was saying that like life has hurt him in all of these ways, and that maybe he's just ready to die, and that he just can't stand people. He doesn't like the world. He feels like the world is cruel, and that like people in general are cruel and evil. And I'm thinking like, I don't think people are I'm trying to talk to this. I'm trying to get through to him, trying to like get him out of whatever negative mindset he's thinking, but without being dishonest. Like, I'm not gonna sit there and bullshit this guy. Even though I just met him, like there really isn't any reason as to why I shouldn't bullshit him if I just want him to get in a good mood. But like, I really want him to think better. To be honest, I really don't think anyone's really given him the time of day to hear what he has to say. And he was saying like he just thinks that people are inherently bad, and that like he just like he finds himself at war with the world. Like, he feels like he's disconnected from society, which I felt sometimes too, to be honest. But I feel like that's everybody. And I was trying to tell him that, like, he thinks that he's so different, and I mean, I think he is too, and I think that I am. I see a lot of similarities in his thought process, but I feel like he's just gone nuts, almost, in a way. Like, the fact that he's gotten so absorbed in his own thoughts, has simply, like, driven him almost mad, to the point where he's, like, it's, like, almost like an anxiety disorder thing that's, like, caused from all that overthinking. Like, he gets so stuck in like a negative thought process. And this guy's like, he's talking real fast. You can tell that he was anxious, like he wanted to get everything off of his chest. So I'm trying to tell him, I was trying to explain to him, he was asking me all these questions, and asking me if I'm happy, like, what do you want in life? And I'm like, oh, well, I just want to be happy. He's like, well, what do you consider happiness? And I'm like, I don't know, like, I'm looking for that. He's like, and he told me, he's like, you're looking for something, like, what you're looking for, but you just haven't found it yet. And I'm thinking, like, yeah, that makes sense. Like, I appreciate that. Like, it's good advice, and it's true, essentially. Like, I've always been out here, like, trying to, I know that I'm destined for some sort of greatness. I just gotta figure it out, and I have to make it. It's not just gonna show up, like with anything. Like, if you want to be something, then go get it, and I'm trying to go get it. I'm trying to, like, weigh out my options and go for it. And essentially, he picked that out of the hat. So I obviously, and like, he was talking about all these big names and shit. So like, he was definitely well read. And back to like the moral of the story. Essentially, this guy, super bitter, and he was trying to pick my brain, and he kept saying like, man, I don't get you. He's like, you say that you have depression and anxiety, and I'm like, yeah, it's a thing that sucks, and like, there's no reason to have these things. It's just like a hereditary issue, and it really does suck ass sometimes. But I was telling him, I was like, you just gotta take the cards you're given and then just play them. You know, it's like it does, like everybody has issues. It's just how you perceive the world around you. Like, I don't like the world around me, and he fucking definitely hates it. And I was just trying to relay that to him, that he should probably like try his best to accept the way the world is and just move forward from it. Like, see the good. And he was saying that in the cafe he was in, like, he tried to talk to the lady working, and she just immediately told him that he had to leave. And I'm just thinking, like, that's bullshit. You know, maybe they're being dicks, but that doesn't mean that everybody's a dick. It doesn't mean that everybody's a dick. And I think that it's important that he knows that, and I was trying to relay that over to him. And essentially, it was almost like he was disregarding what I was saying, but it's like he was trying to dig into my brain, but whenever I did into his, he like got really defensive. And that was that. Sorry, I had to pause the video to collect my thoughts. So the guy was analyzing my brain, and he was trying to like figure out how I think and how I feel in life and everything like that. And essentially, the whole point of me talking to him was so that I could make him feel better. But like, in order to do it, it seemed like he was more upset with the world around him, and I'm trying to explain to him that, like, I feel the same way. I feel similarly to the way he does. You know, talking through like religion. We talked about physics. We talked about psychology. We talked about novels and stuff. I mean, the guy wasn't just some crazy dude off the street. Like, he was super well read, and he was telling me how his whole life has just been a shit show. Like, his dad was like, had money, and I looked his dad up, and he actually was like a renowned like professor in psychology. And his mom, he said that his mom was insane and like went on like some crazy thing and just disappeared to France one day. But like, I think what he was saying was true, because I looked it up and a lot of it was true. He starts going after all these philosophers and talking about all these books and stuff. Did you ever read this, this, and this? And I'm like, yeah, I read some of it. And I would look at him, and he'd be like asking me all these questions, like these intrinsic questions, like, are you happy? Like, what do you look for in the world? And how much he like doesn't like the way the world's going. I'm like, all right, it's like I feel that, like, I understand what, like, where you're coming from. And I was trying to relay back to him that, like, okay, we have the same concerns, but like, what do you do about it? You know, like, and whenever I tried to get in his head, he got really upset. He's like, see, you're trying to confront me. He's like, I don't like being confronted. If we're gonna confront each other, then we should just stop talking now and bring it up later. And I was like, Bernard, he's like, everyone hates me. No one can stand listening to me. I talk too much. And I'm like, dude, it's not that. You just need to accept that some people are not gonna fuck with your personality. Like, some people are gonna watch my video right now and be like, this shit's fucking gay, and it probably is fucking gay, but it doesn't matter to me, because I'm gonna like relay what I feel. And you know, it just, you know, I told him to watch the movie Life is Beautiful. That's why this video is called the Life is Beautiful vlog. And you know, I'm trying to bring out in him, like, I made him laugh a lot. You know, we were talking about stuff, and you know, like girls and life and like what we enjoy, you know, and I was asking about all the good stuff, and he got out of that negativity. Like, he was laughing. I bought him a coffee, like, you know, like, we were sitting there, and I got this guy who was just bitching about how he hates the world and how all people suck, into like laughing. And I looked at him like, yeah. And since he was like blocking me out, I couldn't like directly be like, hey, you should change your perception of the world, because he was just not hearing it. And you know, I was like, listen, I think you're a cool dude. I think that you're intelligent, and it sucks the way the world has like treated you, but you're gonna get out what you give. You're gonna get what you give when it comes to the world around you, if that makes any sense. So that's basically it, you know. And I had to like leave after that, but I told him, I was like, you, right now we're laughing, you're having fun, right? And he's like, yeah. He's like, you know, he's like, I feel a little bit better. I said, well, the next time you feel really upset, the next time someone like does you wrong, or someone's a dick or a bitch or an asshole to you, You just gotta face it with some sort of positivity. Because if you let that shit dwell on your brain, because he was just dwelling on everything, like his whole life, like, oh, this should happen and that should happen. And that shit sucks, dude, and it's good that he vented about it, but, like, you need to try at least to move forward. He was saying, like, oh, are you medicated? Like, do they put you on medication for your depression? I'm like, yeah. He's like, oh, what, Prozac? And I'm like, yeah, Prozac. And I was telling him, like, I don't take it anymore. And I cope with my shit by just trying to cope with it. Like, if I get a wave of negative thoughts, I just try to, like, take it and just put it over there. Like, and, I told him, I was like, the next time you get really upset, just remember, like, like, there are people that care about you. Like, I care about you. Because he was saying he's going to die alone and all this shit, and no one gives a damn about him. And I'm like, no, that's not true. That's not true at all. Like, you can't take people at that value. You gotta think that, everyone's got their shit going on. So if someone's gonna come at you with negativity, like, there's an underlying reason why they're doing that. If someone looks at my video and comes up to me tomorrow and it's like, yo, your shit's fucking gay, bro, like, they're probably just pissy that they can't exercise their thoughts on camera without, like, freezing. So, just told him, like, that he needs to just try to look at the world more positively. And to be honest, like, it kind of put shit in perspective for me, and it really made me think a lot, like, how lucky people like myself are that I have a roof over my head and I have a car that I drive and I'm not handicapped. And even he said that. He's like, I'm lucky that I'm 82 and I'm alive. And I'm like, yeah, dude, you should think about that when you're upset, because it makes sense to cherish the good stuff. You need to cherish the good stuff. Like, this is what the lesson is that you need to, like, what I've learned from him, I'm trying to relate to everyone else, is that no matter how bad life gets or how unfortunate life gets, you need to just focus on the good, because there's a lot more good out there than a lot of people think. You just have to look for it, and that's important. Like, it's really easy to get sucked up in thoughts, myself included, everybody included, like, literally everybody gets in those moods sometimes, and it's really easy to let that shit get the best of you, and you can't dwell on it. You cannot ever let yourself fall, because it's all in here. Like, it's all in your head. Every single little bit of it is in your brain. And, the world is what you make it. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I kept telling him. As much as he wanted to block out what I was saying, he couldn't really. So I had to relay it back. Like, okay, this is what I do. Like, whenever this happens to me, this is what I do. So I couldn't confront him directly, and he's someone that definitely needs more time to talk, but I think that I totally made his year just by sitting and listening to him talk and, like, having a nice conversation when everyone else that just was talking shit to him was walking out and into the door and looking at me with this fucking weird look on my face, like, oh, you're talking to this fucking weirdo? Like, goddamn right I am. Fucking weirdo is interesting as hell, and I wanted to get to know, like, how his brain works. It's super interesting to me. But, like, the gist of today is that you never know who you're gonna meet. Do a good deed. Go out there, talk to somebody. Talk to somebody. Like, not everyone's out there to get you. And I told him that too, and he was like, well, no one likes me. I'm like, well, I do. I have no reason to like you. Or no reason to not like you, rather. And essentially the lesson here is, you're going through hard times, you just have to focus on the positivity, because if you don't, it's going to be a hard road. You're going to be 82 years old, and you're going to be dwelling on the hard shit instead of picking your ass up off the ground and moving it forward. And the advice is hard to take sometimes. It's hard for me to take my own advice, but the only thing that you can do is really just focus on it. Like, listen to music, go for a fucking walk, talk to somebody new, meet someone. If you can get rejected by people that you're trying to be friends with a billion times over, but you find one that counts, then it's the world. Like, he was asking me, oh, do you have friends? Because I don't have anybody. And I'm like, yeah, I have a couple really good friends. Like, he's like, oh, well, do you have a lot of friends? You seem like you're very introverted. And I'm like, well, I think a lot, and I don't air that to people, but I have a lot of acquaintances, a lot of friends that I know. like maybe 6 of which are I consider my best friends that I really do talk to about these thoughts. And he just, I was just trying to relay that back to him, that you can get through any problem, and that it's not ever too late, even if you're 82 years old or 81 years old and the world has handed you shit sandwiches. Sometimes you just gotta take a bite and spit it out and move on. And that's just the way it works. It really does suck. Like, life is super weird. I don't think that anything is meant. I don't think destiny is a thing. I think that destiny is what you make. I think like your whole life is what you make it. I don't think there's some overlying power in the world that directs where you go in life. I think that it's a lot of self-value. You can't put yourself in those limited mindsets. You have to just expand and move forward. Like, you gotta just take what you're given and perceive it in the most positive way possible. Like out of his whole day of getting shit on basically by everybody, he had some random kid fresh out of work who's beat as shit, and I'm still beat as shit, walk up to him and be like, listen, you need a coffee, dude? You look cold. You need a coffee? And like just hear him out. Like, the world gives back to you if you do good. And that's the lesson from today. Thank you guys for watching. If you watched this long, this is my first time doing this, so I'm gonna copy paste and all that other jazz and try to make it more polished. So, Life is Beautiful. Good movie. Check it out. Take the lessons I put forward today and apply them to your life. Thank you guys for watching.